Hello everyone, the Nerdy Steve here, and today I wanted to talk about the Dominaria United previews that have been going on. This is something that's really big and really important for, us Magic players in the next month. Standard rotation is going to be really impactful, and I just wanted to go and talk about some of the cards that jumped out at me as being really relevant in the next rotation. So I'm not going to talk about everything specifically, and only official previews, obviously, but I use Scryfall to keep up to date with all of the previews. It's a really great website, so I'll post the link there. But highly recommend you use it. So let's go talk about things that, have excited me. So the first one is kind of a very innocuous card, Tolarian Terror. Without knowing everything going on in Standard, this may or may not be good, but it is something that, put puts a specific alert in my, head. So it's a 5/5 for 7 mana with Ward 2, so nothing too special there. But it does cost 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. And that's like kind of a really good ability. We've seen it before in cards before, and it's very similar to Delve. And we know that's a very powerful thing. Obviously not the same, similar. But being able to like have this in maybe a control deck or a blue-red spells matter deck and cast it for 1 mana down the line can be really powerful. And so this card kind of just, I don't know if it will be good because we need to know the context of all the instants and sorceries in Standard and specifically in Dominaria United. But it does jump out at me as a potential really powerful card. And I think we should keep an eye on it. But another blue card is Rona's Vortex. So for 1 blue mana, it's an instant. Return target creature or planeswalker you don't control to its owner's hand. Now, on the very base level, a 1 mana unsummon that can only affect opponent's creatures, but also opponent's planeswalker. So it can't be used to, defensively bounce your own stuff. That is, unsummon's a very playable card, has seen play and will continue to see play cards like it. So Rona's Vortex having the kicker of 2 and a black to then, instead of returning that card to hand, put it at the bottom of the owner's library. So it is an unsummon that can become removal. That seems really good to me. And I could, maybe not in Standard, I mean, I would assume it would see play in Standard, but in like a rogues type deck in Explorer, I could see this becoming very relevant. It's just a very cheap and versatile effect, and we know it's an effect that is very powerful and has seen and will continue to see play. So I don't know. This card jumps out as me as something to, look out for. But my favorite cycle that we have coming up, the Painlands are 6 of the 10 Painlands are being printed in Dominaria United, and I think it's been hinted at and implied that the next set will have the other 4. And these are just gonna greatly impact Standard and Explorer. It's just really effective and efficient and good mana. It is so important to make decks work. And this is just gonna, I'm not gonna say anything that you haven't already heard, but these cards are just gonna really help Standard and your mana base become smooth and great and wonderful. And so that's that. I'm not gonna add anything interesting to this discussion, but it's really good, and I'm looking forward to playing with these, and I love their art, by the way. So I'm very happy with that. And now we're on to the black cards, and I have a lot of a lot of them that I really like. So we have Cult Conscript first, which is a black creature for 1 mana that is a 2/1. It enters the battlefield tapped, which we've seen in various iterations before. And this returns to the battlefield, but you can only activate it if a non-skeleton creature died under your control this turn. So it can't trigger itself, but there's going to be a lot of ways to, have creatures die and to replay it from the graveyard. So I think this is going to be really good, specifically because A lot of the next cards are really, really powerful mono black deck cards. So I think this deck is going to be really, really, really powerful because we have really, really good removal in Cut Down, which is a black instant, destroy target creature with total power and toughness 5 or less. This gives me very similar vibes to Fatal Push. I don't know if in the larger formats it's going to be better than Fatal Push, but in standard, this is going to, for 1 mana, kill basically anything you're really going to want to early game. And that's really all you need. And I don't know, I can't say anything that hasn't already been said about Cut Down. It is great and efficient, and depending on the format, because we don't know how it's going to develop, right? If Cut Down becomes popular, that means other decks might change their creature suite up to, be more Cut Down proof. So, there's a lot of give and take there, but Cut Down is just going to be really, really good and really, really wonderful. But Cut Down also doesn't kill. Braids Arisen Nightmare, which is a 3 mana creature that is a 3/3, and it's a legendary creature nightmare. And this card does a lot. So at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a card type. So if you sacrifice a planeswalker, your opponent can then choose to sacrifice a planeswalker. Each opponent that doesn't loses 2 life, and you draw a card. So, this card's just wonderful. I think there are so many different decisions going on with Braids, and this is the type of card that just really, really allows you to have agency in these games. It's very reminiscent of Rankle, which was a 4 mana mythic flyer from Thrones of Eldraine that you were able to make a lot of decisions to put your opponent in awkward spots. Now that card didn't see a lot of play, but I think Braids will. And Braids is going to probably be one of the higher skill testing cards in the format because it just has so many decision points on if you want to sacrifice something, what you're going to sacrifice, and then it gives your opponent the option too. There's just so much going on. Braids is great. I love this card. I cannot wait to play with it. Y'all know I'm a sacrifice player, so this is going to be really, really fun, and I'm going to love it. Then we have that followed up by Liliana of the Veil. This is a reprinted Planeswalker, so we kind of already have an idea of the power level, which is very, very high. However, there are a couple things going on with it, is that this card was first printed how many years ago? So the power level of creatures has gotten a little better. So I think, the relative power of Liliana might be a little less lower. However, all the cards I've been talking about today are mono black, right? And I think mono black is going to have a really, really good place in the upcoming format without knowing anything else going on, right? And so things can change, but I think Liliana's going to really be able to slot into that deck in the 75 somewhere really, really well. And yeah, Liliana's great, fantastic, cannot wait to play with it. But there's more. We also have another black mythic, which is Sheoldred the Apocalypse, which is a 4 mana 4/5, a legendary creature for a Phyrexian Praetor with Death Touch. Love it. Whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Alright. Who cares, right? But whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life. And that is so wonderful, everyone. I think this card is really, really great, and I think a lot of people are underestimating it. I don't think it's gonna be the pinnacle and most powerful thing ever. I don't think it's gonna greatly change and warp the format, but I think this card is just so great. If your opponent doesn't have removal for it, it automatically deals 2 damage, right? And that seems so underwhelming, but knowing that you're gonna get that damage in, and then if your opponent doesn't have removal for it the following turn, it deals 4 damage, right? And that reliability of if your opponent doesn't get rid of it, they can't chump block this, to prevent damage. They can't, this is going to deal damage. And I think that's just really, really powerful. And I don't know, there's something about this card that really, I love the Praetor symmetrical or asymmetrical effects, however you want to, mirrored effects probably is more accurate. And I think Sheoldred just is so perfect and so wonderful. And then we have the lovely and amazing Karn Living Legacy, which is a 4 mana planeswalker that, starts with 4 loyalty. And +1, create a tap Power Stone token, which is an artifact with add 1 colorless, and this mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. So what that means is the Power Stone can be used for activated abilities, and it can be used to pay for its -1 ability, and your artifacts, right? And so it's a little complex and convoluted, and I think we have to wrap our heads around what this Power Stone can actually be used for. And without knowing the entire set, we don't necessarily know, what other cards it can be used with to really, really take it to the next level. But I think, its +1 combos really well with the rest of its abilities. Its -1 also, can help you, if you have the mana, find what you need. And I think Karn's Living Legacy Karn Living Legacy's power is going to really depend on how the format shapes up. We don't know how aggressive it's going to be. We don't know how mid-range it's going to be. With rotation, things are always up in the air, and we don't know how things are going to work and look. So it's really, really hard. I know a lot of people are hating on it, but I'm a little optimistic that Karn will see play and will be good. What do you think? I don't know. But the other card, so we've done a lot of mono black cards, we've done a colorless card, and blue cards. And now we have our first white and green card, which is Shanna Purifying Blade, a 3 mana 3/3 for Bant. It has lifelink, and at the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do draw X cards, X can't be greater than the amount of life you gain this turn. Again, without knowing anything going on, right? I think this card is going to be really, really great. The mana is really intense, and I think the Pain Lands help with that. We do need I think Adagar Waste isn't available yet, or Brushland, but we do have Yavimaya Coast, which is going to be good. But this card, I think, has the potential to really, really do some wonderful stuff. What exactly, I don't know. But, being able to, gain 4 life with a bunch of lifelink attackers, and then paying 4 mana to draw 4 cards. I don't know, that seems really, really good. So I think Shanna is the card I'm most excited about. I don't know, again, if this will be a good deck or if it, will be, really, really powerful, because we need more context. And I think Shanna isn't good enough by itself, but we'll see down the line and what else comes into play if this is going to be really, really impactful to standard. It definitely gets better when we get the other dual lands, which will be hopefully released in the next set. So that's also going to help. But I think right now there's a lot of really good potential here. And even if it's not that constructed playable, the card's going to be fun and great. And so we'll make it work somehow. With all that being said, thank you for watching. I would like to know if there were any cards that you're looking forward to, any things you may have agreed or disagreed, with. Again, there are a lot of cards I didn't cover. I wanted to keep it, nice and compact and short and talk about things that excited me. There are still a lot of good cards that I didn't talk about. I think Yavimaya Iconoclast might be relevant. Forest is playable. So there's definitely a lot of things that we can, that will be good that I didn't talk about. But, I'm not going to cover everything because without knowing the greater context of the set, who knows what things will look like. But regardless, if you haven't already, you should totally like, comment, or subscribe. You can watch me stream live at twitch.tv/thenerdysteve. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.